Hi, my name is Brady Allen, and today I will be trying to answer the question, do video games have educational merit? This has been quite the controversial topic. In the public eye, it would seem that video games are more of a harmful thing than a helpful thing. I will try to shed some light on this topic by discussing just why video games are under fire by the press, and discuss case studies that indicate educational value of video games as well as developmental value, the current state of the educational video games, and the future of educational video games. To date, there has been quite the stigma attached to video games, particularly in regards to the violence associated with the mature rated games. To most people, that same stigma seems to dominate their overall opinion of video games. Titles such as Grand Theft Auto and Doom have been the target of the press, as well as grieving families who suffered losses from gun violence in teens. While those games do in fact present violence in a very real way, so does every other form of media. Today's libraries, televisions, computer screens are all littered with violent forms of media that, by comparison, are at times more violent than video games. Other studies argue that video games can consume too many aspects of a certain individual's life. This is more of a lucrative argument than the previous, in my opinion. I have, with my own eyes, seen people's lives fall apart because all they wanted to do was play video games. I myself have had occasions where I played too many video games in a certain period of time and I put things off or became evasive. I don't think that video games are entirely at fault for this or that kind of behavior. Things of that nature can be attributed to any human's ability to become addicted to something. I said before that I have seen a few people suffer from their addiction to video games. I've seen far more people overcome by many other addictions. That being said, I will now focus on a few case studies that indicate the educational as well as the developmental aspects of today's video games. One of the studies I read about was conducted by a Dr. Martin Griffiths, who is a professor of gambling studies at Nottingham Trent University. His studies indicate that on the developmental spectrum of the issue, video games help their players develop faster reaction times, hand-eye coordination, and self-esteem. He also concluded that children in the present prefer to learn via video games over traditional book-in-hand, pen-and-paper methods. Video games have the ability to hold a user's attention for long periods of time. Most video games present the user with specific challenges, which they must complete to proceed to the next stage. This requires the player to also think critically. With most games being online, it allows for networking as a solution if the player cannot figure it out on their own. Dr. Griffiths also noted that video games equip children with to-date technology, which can help them overcome technophobia, which is the fear of new technologies or the lack of understanding new technologies. Video games can also aid in the development of transferable IT skills. I myself have played video games my entire life, and I do not have a fear of technology, and I embrace it. There are clearly benefits for children and young adults that can be achieved through video games, but do they benefit adults as well? Well, the answer is yes, they do. Virtualization is used to train countless professions these days. the focus on virtualization is usually in regards to the military's used to train combat scenarios or to teach astronauts how to fly a spaceship. However, almost every company in the present has some sort of virtualization program or video game to train its new employees. Like any entry-level job these days will have you training on a computer before you actually get in on the floor and are working for that company. It's required. The uses of these virtualization programs or video games have permeated through our society so much in the last few decades that it is very rare that anyone will be trained using any other methods. Larger investigations into the potential educational benefits of video games are being performed from offices in the White House. Constance Steinkruler is a senior policy analyst at the White House Office of Science and Technology. She is right now shaping the Obama administration's policies around games that improve health, education, civic engagements, and the environment. She revealed that the typical gamer profile has completely changed in almost an instant, right under our noses. With the advent of smartphones and games like Farmville and Angry Birds are attracting a wide range of consumers from all ages. And it's is one, appealing, and two, easily accessible. Today, 2/3 of American households play video games. Today, 42% of gamers are women. Who'd have thought? And now, women dominate the 17-year-old and younger bracket. There's more females 17 or younger playing video games than males these days. And with the vast majority of our population now playing and accepting video games, they can now impact us on just as much as any other forms of media or entertainment. More and more studies are proving that video games are very effective teaching machines. Looking to the future, there are many capabilities, or there are many companies who are looking to harness those educational and developmental capabilities of video games and create titles that can compete and thrive in the current gaming market. Overall, video games, because they are so commonplace and accepted these days, are becoming a part of almost everyone's reality here in the US. It is happening where these companies and major investors are looking into video games as a serious way of training our youth and our adults, all of us. They're very effective at getting you to problem solve, speeding up your reaction time. They are very positive ways to educate someone using video games. Things like Rosetta Stone have taught more people how to speak foreign languages and maintain that ability than most college classes or high school classes have in the past. So, when asked the question, do video games have educational merit? The answer is yes, they do. And in the future, that will be implemented further, and I wouldn't be surprised to see video games taking over the usual means of education. They're just that effective. People are fully engaged when they play video games. Their mind wanders not at all, almost. They are there playing the video game and not being distracted by anything else because they're fun. They're fun, they're exciting, they're intuitive, and they can teach you things these days. And that's all I have on whether or not video games have educational merit